Jasmine Sinclair was a woman of hard work and vision. She started with nothing but a dream and built the Royal Crest Hotel from the ground up. Through dedication and attention to detail, she created one of the most luxurious and respected hotels in the city. She believed success was not just about wealth, but about treating people with kindness and respect. To ensure her staff followed the same values, she often went undercover as a regular guest. Today was one of those days. She walked into her own hotel, ready to see the truth behind the service. Before continuing to the story, please don't forget to like and subscribe to us for more interesting stories. Jasmine adjusted the cuff of her blazer as she stepped into the grand entrance of the Royal Crest Hotel. The marble floors gleamed under the opulent chandelier, and the scent of fresh orchids drifted through the air. It was one of the most prestigious hotels in the city, known for its exclusivity and grandeur. What most people didn't know was that Jasmine was the owner. Today, however, she wasn't here for a press conference or a business meeting. She had decided to conduct an unannounced inspection, blending in as a potential guest to observe how her staff truly treated people. As she approached the front desk, she noted the receptionist, a young man named Brandon, barely acknowledged her presence. He glanced at her simple yet elegant attire, a navy blue blazer, cream blouse, and tailored slacks, before returning his attention to his computer screen. "Can I help you?" he asked, his tone flat and uninterested. "Yes," Jasmine replied smoothly. "I'd like to book a suite for the night." Brandon gave her another once-over, this time with a barely concealed smirk. "I'm afraid we don't have any availability for your budget. You might have better luck at one of the hotels down the street." Jasmine raised an eyebrow, her lips curving into a subtle, knowing smile. Before she could respond, a voice interrupted her. "Is there a problem here?" The hotel manager, Victor Langford, had approached, standing tall with an air of superiority. He was a man in his late 40s, with graying hair and a sharp suit that screamed authority. His eyes scanned Jasmine with the same dismissiveness as Brandon. "No problem, sir," Brandon replied smoothly. "I was just letting her know that we're fully booked." Victor looked at Jasmine with polite but firm indifference. "Apologies, ma'am. We maintain a very particular clientele here. I'm sure you understand." Jasmine did understand, just not in the way he assumed. She had spent years building this hotel empire from the ground up, ensuring that every guest was treated with dignity and respect. Yet here she was, facing blatant discrimination in her own establishment. "So just to be clear," she said, her voice calm but authoritative, "there are no suites available?" Victor nodded. "That's correct." She chuckled softly. "Fascinating, because I happen to know that the Windsor and Lexington suites are currently vacant, unless, of course, you've already booked them in the last 5 minutes?" Brandon stiffened. Victor frowned. "How would you know that?" Jasmine pulled out her phone and sent a quick text. Within moments, the large double doors of the hotel lobby swung open, and a man in a sharp charcoal gray suit entered with confident strides. "Miss Jasmine," he greeted her, extending a hand. "My apologies for not being here sooner. We weren't expecting you for another week." Victor paled. Brandon looked like he wanted the ground to swallow him whole. The man turned toward them. "I'm Jonathan Reeves, Director of Operations for Jasmine Luxury Hotels, and you are speaking to the owner of this establishment." The silence was deafening. Victor's face drained of color, and Brandon's fingers trembled as they hovered over his keyboard. "Ms. Jasmine," Victor began, his voice shaky. Jasmine held up a hand, cutting him off. "Let me ask you something, Mr. Langford. How many guests have you turned away simply because you assumed they didn't belong?" Victor swallowed hard. "That's not what happened here. This was just a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" Jasmine repeated, feigning curiosity. "Then let's test that, shall we?" She turned to Jonathan. "Pull the records of every person turned away in the last 6 months. I want a breakdown of their demographics, age, gender, and any patterns that stand out." Jonathan nodded, already typing on his tablet. Victor and Brandon exchanged nervous glances. "Ms. Jasmine, please, I assure you—" Victor started again, but Jasmine had already made another call. "Security," she said simply. 2 guards arrived almost instantly. "Escort these 2 to my office," she instructed. "We need to have an important discussion." Victor and Brandon had no choice but to follow, their shoulders stiff with tension. In Jasmine's executive office, the two men sat before her, visibly shaken. "How long have you worked here, Victor?" she asked, her tone measured. 8 years, he admitted. "And you, Brandon?" 2 years. She nodded, fingers tapping lightly on her desk. "And in all that time, have you ever denied someone a room simply because they looked out of place?" Brandon shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't think—" "That much is clear," she interrupted. "But what's more concerning is that neither of you thought you would ever be held accountable." She pulled out 2 envelopes and slid them across the desk. The men hesitated before opening them, their faces drained of color as they read the contents. "Termination, effective immediately." "Ms. Jasmine, please," Victor pleaded, desperation in his voice. Jasmine leaned forward. "If I wasn't the owner, I would have been treated like a second-class citizen in my own hotel. That is unacceptable. You didn't just misjudge me. You misjudged the standards of this company." Brandon opened his mouth to argue but saw the finality in her gaze. There was no changing her mind. "Security will escort you out," she said, standing. Defeated, the men left without another word. Jasmine turned to Jonathan. "Going forward, we will implement mandatory inclusivity training for all staff. I want hidden evaluations conducted regularly to ensure that this never happens again." "Understood," Jonathan said. Her phone buzzed. A message from her assistant, Miranda. "Media is picking up the story. Social media is calling it the ultimate power move." Jasmine smirked. "Good," she replied. "Let it spread." A knock at the door interrupted her. Miranda peeked in. "You have a visitor." "Now?" Jasmine asked. "He says it's important." Curious, she nodded. "Let him in." An older gentleman entered, his salt and pepper hair perfectly styled, his suit tailored to perfection. He extended a hand. "Ms. Jasmine, I'm Charles Wentworth, CEO of Wentworth Hotels." Jasmine recognized the name instantly. His hotel chain was one of the largest and most respected in the world. "I had to come personally after hearing what happened," he continued, "because what you did wasn't just bold. It was necessary." She studied him. "And what exactly are you saying, Mr. Wentworth?" He smiled. "I want you to run my entire East Coast division." Jasmine blinked. "Excuse me?" "Senior Vice President of Operations," he clarified. "You'll oversee every hotel in the region. Hiring, training, policies. If something needs fixing, you fix it." It was a massive opportunity, the chance to reshape an entire industry. But Jasmine never made quick decisions. "I'll need time to consider." Wentworth nodded. "Of course, but trust me, you're the right person for the job." As he left, Jasmine looked out over the city skyline. Just days ago, she had been treated as if she didn't belong in her own hotel. Now she had the chance to ensure that no one else experienced the same, and by morning the world would know exactly who she was.